On the broadcast tonight, we recap Parent and Family Weekend here at SHIP.
And we take a look at things to do outdoors this fall.
All of that and more right now on SUTV News. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Adam Beam.
And I'm Victoria LaPrince. Last week, Raiders and their families came together to celebrate the annual Parents and Family Weekend. The weekend consisted of numerous activities and events. This included the Raider Legacy Pinning Ceremony, the Fall Carnival, and a home football game against Bloomsburg. The Fall Carnival featured inflatables, a rock wall sponsored by Army ROTC, foam airsoft in the hockey rink, and many more. Plans for next year's celebration are already being discussed. Among the many animals spotted around campus, one Raider stands out. SUTV's Carmine Chicatano has more.
Raider, a black lab currently in training as a seeing eye dog. I sat down with Dr. Allison Watts, Raiders trainer, and Dr. Andrea Melmont, who also trains seeing eye dogs.
So I would say the two biggest qualities that I've had to get better at are patience and flexibility. Which has come in handy in this past year in other ways.
Just really wanted something with more of a purpose, and it was just a natural fit for me because I know how valuable dogs can be for someone who is blind and impaired. So there was this really
Together, they help train service animals for the Seeing Eye, a New Jersey-based nonprofit who trains service animals for those in need. However, while Raider may be cute, it is important to know that if you encounter him or any other service animal on campus, that you should not just go up and pet them. Whether they're working or in training, it is always important to ask permission before petting any animal because not all service animals are able to be pet.
Talk to the person, not the dog. I mean, we see that they're very cute, but you should really deal with the person. And I would not, somebody that's actively working with a service dog of any type, interact with them, not the dog. Don't even ask to pet the dog. If you can, they'll let you know. But
if you want to see more of Raider's adventures, you can follow him on Instagram at shipraiderpup_TSE. For SUTV News, I'm Carmine Chicatano.
Well, fall is officially here, and that means the leaves are changing colors, the weather is getting colder, and things are getting a lot spookier. So here are just some of the fun events and activities to do this fall on campus. Starting off with some planned APB events. This weekend will include events like Campus Feud tomorrow at 9 p.m. in the Cub NPR. Next week we'll start off Diversity Week here on campus. And 2 weeks later we'll be celebrating homecoming with plenty of fun-filled events including a 150th birthday bingo. To any on-campus residents, you can check in with your RAs who will be planning events for the whole month of October that are sure to satisfy your spooky side. For example, you can follow along with me over at Seavers Hall for the 31 Days of Halloween Marathon, where we watch one new spooky movie per day leading up to October 31st. Speaking of housing and residence life, the Haunted Rail Trail has returned, and this year's theme is zombies. So from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. on October 29th, you'll have a guided tour through the section of the rail trail filled with the undead. And to close out the month of October with live theater returning, that means we can do the time warp again on October 28th and the 30th. Come out for a live lip-sync production of the 70s cult musical, The Rocky Horror Picture Show in Memorial Auditorium. The Department of Global Languages and Culture and Political Science Department sponsored an event for the students last evening. The panel of Dr. David Wildermuth, Dr. Mark Sockleben, and Dr. Sarah Grove discussed what a post-Angela Merkel Germany could look like. This is following Germany's fierce election that wouldn't see Merkel, the previous Chancellor of Germany, running for the first time in 16 years. The panel spoke on the uncertainty Germany faces. They talked about the new candidates, Olaf Scholz, Annalena Baerbock, and Armin Laschet. Additionally, the panel broke down the political party election results, informed students about how elections differ from the United States, and explained possible party coalitions that may be formed. The event ended with the panel's final thoughts and student questions that dug deeper into German culture and its history.
We are having a rapid COVID-19 test shortage, but not for long. Rapid tests allow you to know whether you are carrying enough of the COVID-19 virus to be contagious in minutes. According to the CDC, there's a shortage in POC, point of care, and OTC, over-the-counter testing supplies. White House officials say that the test should be available and less expensive soon. Contracts that were awarded this past Monday stated that this will lead to the delivery of 120 million at-home tests starting next month. When we come back in world news, China is already preparing for the 2022 Winter Olympics.
We have more after the break.
The Taliban has been in control in Afghanistan for more than a month, and harsh rules are being put in place.
SUTV Stefan Gergashanov has this week's world news.
A harsh new reality in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. CNN's Clarissa Ward reports from Kabul.
This neighborhood used to be full of musicians and music stores selling instruments. Now you can see almost all of the shops here have been shut down.
Oh, this is you singing. Yeah.
Down the street, we meet musician Mustafa Nouri. He tells us he has been forced to sell street food since the Taliban took over. The entire area of Khorabat is full of musicians, he says. But since the Taliban came, they stopped the music, and our work has ended. As we're talking, a red car pulls up.
So it looks like the Taliban have arrived here? Does it make you nervous to see them coming up and down the street like this?
Of course I am afraid, he says. When we see them normally, we go into our houses. The Taliban haven't officially banned music, but the musicians tell us the fighters regularly threaten them not to play their instruments.
So the Taliban are here again, driving past us. You can imagine how intimidating that is for people in this neighborhood, just to have them with their weapons driving up and down the street all the time.
As we start to leave, a man invites us into his house. He says he hasn't taken his tabla out of its case since the Taliban took over.
I imagine that music is part of your heart. It must hurt not to be able to play anymore.
If we can't play, then we feel depressed and our hearts cannot breathe, he tells us. Nothing is left. The music has ended. He says he doesn't know how long they can continue to live like this. He starts to tap the tabla lightly. His reflexes take over. And for a brief moment, he is free.
Clarissa Ward, CNN, Kabul.
Thank you.
The International Olympic Committee said Wednesday that spectators will be allowed at the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing. However, only people who live in mainland China will be able to get tickets for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. The IOC hasn't yet announced details of the health and safety requirements. However, the body did give details on vaccination and quarantine protocols. COVID-19 vaccinated athletes and Games participants will immediately enter a, quote, closed-loop management system and will not have to quarantine. Those not fully vaccinated will have a 21-day quarantine. Athletes with medical exemptions will be considered on a case-by-case basis. The FBI returned to the family home of Brian Laundrie Thursday as they continued their search for Gabby Petito's fiancé. According to a lawyer for Laundrie's family, federal agents collected items from their home in Northport, Florida. They include some of Laundrie's personal belongings. The attorney says the items may help investigators in their search for the 23-year-old. Authorities have been looking for Laundrie since he disappeared days before they discovered the body of Petito in a Wyoming national park. Laundrie and Petito had been traveling together on a cross-country road trip, but he returned to Florida without her. Her family later reported her missing. Her body was found on September 19th, with a coroner later ruling her death was a homicide. Laundrie's family say they last saw him on September 14th. A federal warrant is out for his arrest, but it is not connected to Petito's death. Instead, they want him on suspicion of using a debit card that did not belong to him. A judge in London is expected to hand down a life sentence for the brutal murder of Sarah Everard, who was killed back in March. Her death sparked outrage and started a national debate about women's safety and sexual assault in the UK. Former police officer Wayne Couzens confessed to her kidnapping and rape. before he strangled Everard and burned her remains. CNN's Nada Bashir reports.
Well, a series of shocking new details were revealed by the prosecution on Wednesday's hearing, the first of 2 days in the sentencing of Wayne Couzens, the former police officer charged with the murder of Sarah Everard in March of this year. Among those shocking details, the fact that Couzens used his police authority to abduct, rape and kill Everard as she made her way home from a friend's house late in the evening in South London. According to the prosecution, he stopped Everard on the street under the guise of enforcing coronavirus restrictions, and she was later handcuffed and driven away by Couzens in a private vehicle. The prosecution was also able to reveal further details on the last few moments of Everard's life. A post-mortem had previously shown that Everard had died as a result of compression to the neck. The prosecution on Wednesday was able to reveal that Couzens had strangled Everard with his police belt. The confessed killer kept his head down and eyes closed for much of the hearing, only raising his gaze briefly when asked to do so by Everard's father. Her mother also gave an emotional statement to the court, saying that she had been tormented by thoughts of what her daughter had been forced to endure by Couzens. The court hearing is set to resume on Thursday, with judges set to pass the sentencing of Wayne Couzens, with the prosecution seeking whole life order, which removes the possibility of parole owing to the severity of the crime. But for now, questions remain over whether the police authorities and indeed the government are doing enough to prevent such acts of violence against women from happening across the UK. Nada Bashir, CNN, London.
That's it for this week's World News. I'm Stefan Girgishanov. Back to Victoria and Adam at the desk.
When we come back in entertainment, R. Kelly is going to jail, and we have a recap on the Tony Awards.
We have more right after this.
You know, I have to say, this weather recently has just been absolutely perfect.
I definitely agree with you. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, but it's like just right.
Oh, exactly. Fall is officially here, and that is my favorite thing to hear.
I think we're ready for it. So now let's go over to Jada Lee with this week's weather.
Well, folks, it looks like it's time to pull out the rain boots and dust off your garden rakes. Fall is officially here. Tonight we have a low of 49, tomorrow a high of 70 with clear skies. Looking ahead, Saturday will be partly cloudy with a high of 77. Sunday, a high of 79 with cloudy skies. Monday, however, will be partly cloudy with a 45% chance of rain and a high of 76. Tuesday is about the same, a lower chance of rain and a high of 74. Wednesday looks relatively gloomy, a chance of showers and a high of 70. Thursday and Friday look almost the same, clouds and a chance of rain with highs in the upper 60s. Fall is officially here, but the sweater weather is still on its way. That's it for this week's weather. Now let's take it over to Sarah with this week's entertainment.
The verdict is in. R. Kelly has been found guilty of 8 counts of sex trafficking and 1 count of racketeering after 2 days of deliberation in a courtroom in New York City on September 24th. It was started back in 2018 with a survivor by the name of Geronda Pace. She broke her non-disclosure agreement to talk about having relations with R. Kelly when she was underage. After she came forward, other survivors spoke their truth about saying they were starved, coerced into doing things, and physically abused. When Kelly originally went to court, he pleaded not guilty and bail was denied to him. Today, Kelly is facing a separate trial in Chicago on child pornography charges and is due to face sex abuse charges in Illinois and Minnesota. R. Kelly will be sentenced in May of 2022. Despite ratings hitting an all-time low, the Tony Awards were truly something to celebrate. This year's awards marked the return of Broadway after being absent for over a year. SUTV's Adam Beam gives us a recap of the night.
After nearly 2 years of going dark, Broadway is back, and so are the annual Tony Awards. And while the competition was light this year due to lack of eligible candidates, there was still plenty of memorable moments from the night. Starting off with the night's biggest winner, it was the jukebox musical Moulin Rouge that took home the most awards of the night, winning a total of 10 Tonys, though still not enough to beat the producer's record of 12. Some of the wins included Daniel Bernstein for actor in a featured role, Best Directing for Alex Timbers, a first Best Actor win for Aaron Tveit, who was the only nominee in that category, and the biggest award of the night, Best Musical. One of the other shows to scoop up some awards is one that was met with heavy controversy in the past couple weeks. Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill is currently under an independent investigation following allegations of mistreating their trans and non-binary cast members. And the internet was in an uproar following the win of Lauren Patton, the actress who has been at the center of the controversy for her character in the musical. Currently, Jagged Little Pill has yet to reopen on Broadway. The musical is currently set to return on October 21st. However, there has been no word on whether this investigation will affect that return. Other notable winners include Adrienne Warren for Best Actress in Tina, the Tina Turner musical. The Inheritance took home Best Play, and A Soldier's Play brought in a Best Revival Tony, as well as a first win for David Alan Grier in a featured role.
Where's Audra? Audra! I finally won one of these too. She got like 7 of these bad boys.
For SUTV Entertainment, I'm Adam Beam.
Eminem has just opened Mom's Spaghetti, a restaurant in his hometown of Detroit. Mom's Spaghetti was the name of the pop-up shop that appeared around Detroit since 2017, with the opening of the brick-and-mortar store being today. The basis for the restaurant are the iconic lyrics of Eminem's Lose Yourself, being his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already, Mom's Spaghetti. Naturally, the restaurant only serves spaghetti in different variations along with cold drinks. Eminem himself was present at the opening of the restaurant, and reviews for Mom's Spaghetti have been overwhelmingly positive. That's it for this week's entertainment. I'm Sarah Cox. Let's send it back over to Adam and Victoria at the desk.
When we come back in sports, football is off to its best start since 2017.
We have more after the break.
The women's soccer team put up a good fight on the road against East Stroudsburg, but ultimately fell 2-1. The Raiders started scoring early thanks to junior Lauren Acker, who scored her first goal of the season with help from senior KK O'Donnell. Sophomore goalkeeper Kendra Barlow recorded a season high with 14 saves. This would mark her third double-digit save performance of the season. The women's soccer team will be returning for a hopeful rebound this Saturday against Westchester at home. The game will begin at 2:30 p.m. Men's soccer faced their rival in East Stroudsburg yesterday. After an early goal from ESU, it's senior Alex Petty hooking it from the corner. The Raiders tie it up at 1. Then in the second half, it's Petty again, this time draining a free kick into the net. The Raiders lead 2-1. Just over 5 minutes later, another corner, this time it's Avery Warwick that can knock it through. East Stroudsburg would score again, but the Raiders hang on to win 3-2. The Raiders host Westchester this Saturday at 5 p.m. On Wednesday, the field hockey team faced the 6th-ranked team in the nation, East Stroudsburg University. SUTV's Jack Ainsley has more.
On Wednesday, the Shippensburg University field hockey team took on East Stroudsburg. Raiders strike first in this game when Gruber pushes it into the circle and passes to Slammer, who taps it into the net to give the Raiders an early 1-0 lead. Slammer scores her 6th goal of the season. Later in the first quarter, Raiders with a corner opportunity. Tori Albright slaps the one-timer home, and the Raiders take a quick 2-0 lead. Albright scores her 2nd goal of the season. And the Raiders go into the halftime locker room up 2-0. In the second half, the Warriors would strike back when Becca Hefner takes the pass off the corner, shoots, and puts it in the back of the net for her 2nd goal of the year. The score is now 2-1. Later in the fourth quarter, Raiders with the corner opportunity. Maddie Rutner passes it from the corner to Yasmin Petrantonio, who scores her 15th goal in the year. The Raiders will go on to win 3-1. For SUTV Sports, I'm Jack Ainsley.
Raiders have their senior day against Mercyhurst this Saturday. Face-off is at 11 a.m. This past weekend, women's volleyball took on Shepherd and IUP. At the division opener, the Raiders had a close game with Shepherd, with strong efforts from junior Oginda Agbali and Rachel Verhoff, getting 14 and 8 kills respectively. Ultimately, the Raiders dropped the 4-set match against the Rams. On Saturday, they faced IUP, and Verhoff was bringing her all again, posting double-digit kills for the 8th time this season. The match went to 5 sets, ending in favor of the Hawks. Their next game is scheduled for October 1st at Kutztown. Hayden Hunt has been awarded PSAC Men's Cross Country Athlete of the Week for his performance at the Dickinson Short Invitational last Saturday. Hunt had the quickest time in the 4K race, finishing in 12 minutes and 31 seconds. Hunt is the first Shippensburg University runner to be named PSAC Men's Cross Country Athlete of the Week since Rob Moser in 2018. While Hunt enjoys his team's success so far, their focus is on the end of the year.
These races were obviously putting forth a solid effort, but we're really focused on the postseason races in late October and November.
Cross country will compete at Lehigh University for the Paul Short Run on Friday, October 1st. Shippensburg football was back at Seth Grove Stadium on Saturday, and the Raiders were looking to stay undefeated as they took on the Bloomsburg Huskies. SUTV's Tyler Danson has the highlight.
Shippensburg football is looking to go 4-0 for the first time in 4 years. Now the Huskies are a tough football team and a PSAC rival as well, but they've been unable to beat the Raiders here at Seth Grove Stadium since 2015. The first quarter yielded no results, so we're picking up action here in the second quarter as Bryson Messina is in the shotgun and he finds Ian Sheehan in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. Raiders are up 7-0 early in the second quarter. Still in the second quarter here, field positioning looks pretty similar here to the last play that we just saw, but this time Messina wants it on the scoring. No one open here, so he's just going to take it. He's going to dive, hit the pylon. What are we thinking? Is it in? Ref says it's good. Ship is now up 24-0 headed into the second half. Now wait, don't just count out the Huskies just yet, as they aren't leaving this game without some points. Nafeez West is able to receive a short pass, and where's the Ship defense? He's gone. Bloom has points up on the board now, 24-7. Although, look out here, the very next drive, Raiders offense wants to respond as Messina launches a bomb down the field, and he's able to find Kyle Evans for a 50-yard gain on this drive. That pass would then lead to a handoff to Kyle Evans, who's able to drive it into the end zone and extend the Ship lead back to 24. To put icing on the cake for this game, the very next drive after the Kyle Evans touchdown, Messina again is going to launch another bomb to Ian Sheehan yet again, who has nothing but green between him and the end zone. And that's going to be it for the Huskies, as Ship would add 2 more touchdowns after this play. Ship wins 51-7. Ship is 4-0, and for the second week in a row, starting quarterback Bryson Messina was awarded the PSAC East Athlete of the Week with 392 passing yards and his first rushing touchdown in his college career. Here's what he had to say about this achievement.
It's not just me who's done it, you know what I mean? We got receivers playing really well right now, making nice plays and, catching the ball, and the lines played really well, defense holding it down. So, I get the award, but it's everybody's work that goes into it. It's pretty big for us.
Football is back on the road this weekend as they take on Shepherd. Kickoff is at noon. From SUTV Sports, I'm Tyler Danson.
That's all for sports this week. I'm Mackenzie Mitchell. Let's send it back to the desk.
When we come back, a squirrel in North Dakota has gone nuts.
Stay tuned.
This next story is nuts, literally. A man in North Dakota saddled with a massive cleanup job caused by a tiny furry perpetrator. Kevin Walvelin reports.
The red squirrel will come up behind, run along the frame rail, and then all the way up to the front.
Bill Fisher just cannot win the war. A beautiful black walnut tree in the yard produces nuts that a red squirrel finds irresistible. But the problem is,
mostly under the hood and in the fenders.
That red squirrel has picked Bill's Chevy Avalanche.
A lot of places inside the radiator fan, all the way through here. That corner's been covered full with walnuts.
As the winter storage hideout for hundreds of nuts, each about the size of a small lemon.
It was planning on camping there for the winter.
Bill has cleaned out 42 gallons of black walnuts from his truck in every crack and crevice of his Avalanche, the engine compartment, fenders. Nothing is off limits.
I had to pull the fenders off and clean all the walnuts out. I thought I had them all, took it down the road, turned the corner. I found one rolling inside the windshield cowl where the wipers go.
Bill's dog Asher is beside himself. That pesky little red squirrel seems to taunt him. And to think this just happened over a few days the truck was parked.
It's one red squirrel that's doing this as far as going into the pickup.
Bill got most of the black walnuts out, but a few are not retrievable.
I have some rolling around inside the frame rails as well that I can't get at.
Can you hear it?
I can hear them, yes.
You know, Victoria, do you want to hear a joke about that story?
You know I do.
Nah, never mind. It's a corny joke.
That's it for SUTV News. I'm Victoria LaPrince.
And I'm Adam Beam. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SUTV News. And check out our website at sutvnews.org.
We'll see you next week. Good night.